Welcome to EnVision Center News, where we discuss community impact and involvement with today's nonprofit leaders and philanthropists.
Ladies, hello, and welcome to the podcast. Thank you for joining me all the way from Priest River. We're going to talk about the great things you're doing there. But before we get into what you're doing currently, can you both kind of take me to the past a little bit? Give me kind of your shortened autobiography, a little bit about where you grew up and how you sort of landed in the roles that you have today.
Well, thank you for inviting us. I grew up in Oklahoma and eventually got married, graduated high school and got married, and married a man in the Air Force and have traveled all over the United States. Ended up in Idaho after we retired, and just love it here.
Were you ever? You weren't stationed in Idaho, were you?
No.
That's not how you discovered Idaho.
No,
right?
no, that came about through friends who retired and moved here, and a relative of my husband's who had moved here. They had been out of touch for a while, but met each other again at a mutual relative's wedding, and I learned that they lived here. So we already had friends here, and then we decided, let's go visit. And I think the first trip we came up here is like I was already in love.
Yeah.
It's like
That's
I
a
could
common
see myself
story.
living here.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's beautiful, number one. And we were looking for a small town. You know? Yeah. And we found it, and so we're very, very happy to be here. I have children, none of which live here. They live in different states, but they do travel up here to visit us once a year, and so we're happy about that, and just we're excited about getting involved with the community in a way to make friends. We decided to volunteer within our community. And I started volunteering with the animal shelter.
Okay.
I was there for 5 years. Also worked with, as did Traci, at the Women's Advocates ministry.
Yep.
And so then we met at the senior center. We were looking for something else to do because it's small and there's not a lot of activities there, but they had a senior center and they had bingo. So we were looking for something to do, and they had bingo on a Friday night, my husband and I, and that is where we met Traci and her husband.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Traci, what about you?
Okay, so I hate to use the word California, but
No, I'm just kidding.
when we moved here about 13 years ago, I was like, don't say it, But about 90-something% of the people I meet are, if not from California, are from somewhere else. So I've met locals, of course, but I worked 32 years for a state facility with patients. I'm a psych nurse, I had been, working with folks with developmentally disabled and also with the mentally ill. And so in my 40s, I was thinking, where am I going to retire at someday? And my father had actually lived out here, not just a little bit out of Sandpoint. So my husband and I started coming up here just to see what was going on. And he's an avid fisherman and huntersman, and he gardening. So eventually, when we retired early, mid-50s or so, we started looking seriously, and then finally did move out here. And everywhere seemed to have a train track behind it. So we go, that's not going to work. But so we found a cute little place in Priest River, still under 2,000 people. Still, there's been some growth even the time we've been here. But within, it seemed like month one or so, we just got so adopted in. It looks like it's nowhere USA, but things are happening, and we joined a church and met people. That's one of the places I also knew Bobbie from. Senior Center, there's some activities there. We belonged to that for quite a while, and now I'm, again, a member. The Linus Group, and then they also help the community in certain ways by giving, helping out with high schoolers with their education, what do you call it, certificates, scholarships, thank you. the Grange, a couple of the Granges, and it's all about really helping out with the food bank. She said, about a year I was with the Priest River Ministries Advocates for Women, helping keep clean the safe houses and do their errands, that type of thing. So, I mean, immediately we just got adopted in, because people are kind of tired of doing what they're doing and say, oh, here's somebody new, let's have them do it,
Yeah.
So it was easy to make friends. Of course, my husband's a real talker, so he had the whole neighborhood who may not have spoken to each other, the neighbors, but he shows up, they're talking to each other and kind of thing. And so in a nutshell, I was fortunate to retire from the nursing career in one piece. A lot of times there's injuries that occur with that type of job. And I have 2 grown children, and my daughter has a child who's about 9. My son lives in my neighborhood. My daughter's in Oregon, and
So your son followed you?
Yeah.
Nice.
So I get to hang out with him quite often, and I love that. And then my husband has 4 boys from a previous marriage, and Bobbie, we eventually will get into how we got into the caregivers support group as a facilitator. And busy enough already, she said, hey, you want to do this? And it just spoke to my heart. I didn't even have to think about it.
Yeah. So actually a question before we get into that, because I think this is really relevant. We do retirement mixer at the EnVision Center, and I think everybody knows that a lot of people spend their retirement volunteering, right? Find your passion, find something and dig in. But both of you have kind of bounced around a bit, and I'm just wondering what led to that. Why not just pick something and stay with it? What causes you to kind of pivot and pivot and pivot?
With the volunteering, you mean?
Yes.
I gave it some thought and I decided that I wanted to do something else. Wasn't real sure about what I could do. And the women's advocates they were still growing, and they didn't really need a lot they needed volunteers, but the things that the volunteers were doing were limited. So I wanted to find something else that was more beneficial, for my time. Yes. So we kind of haphazardly fell into the senior center. There's a group at the senior center that is called the Happy Agers. It's a social group. The senior center was established in 1977 by a man by the name of Frank Chapin, who was lived in Priest River, and quite the busy man. He was very dominant in helping Priest River, and so he got a grant for a senior center. At that time, they didn't have one, and on the piece of property had been a school. So the school was going to be torn down, and he just saw the opportunity. Maybe we can do something with this. So he was given the grant to build a senior center, and it was to remain as a senior center. So he established a little social group by the name of Happy Agers, and so that is the name of our senior center. It's Frank Chapin's Senior Center of Priest River, and she'll always be that name. So because of that, it was a real piece of important place for seniors to go. Now, they've had lots of different activities there and lots of different directors. One director gave 18 years of his life there, and he has since passed. Frank Chapin has also since passed. And we've had other people come in and temporarily in positions and leave, So now my husband and I he's the acting director.
Okay.
And so in that, we've tried to establish other activities. And one of the things they had was the people, the residents would come in, they would use the building to play cards. Yeah. It's a social crisis, And when they had back in the day when they had the mills started closing, they also started a soup kitchen there. So people would come, and then by the time speed fast to when we came, the food kitchen or the soup kitchen really wasn't needed.
Okay.
It was not a desperate thing. It became more of a social, time, and we saw that as such, and felt like that was the benefit, because now these people are older, and they need that social time. Some of them, it's just their only social hour for the week. So we've
So is that how it works? Is there just open hours or a specific social hour, or obviously I'm not old enough to be a member of a senior center yet. I've got some years ahead before that, but I actually don't really know. I know like most towns seem to have a senior center, but then I don't really know how it works outside of that.
Right. Well, I think every town or every city is different. We're open five days a week, from 10 to 2. And on Mondays now, we've changed the soup kitchen idea to Monday's lunch, because it's basically a social hour. And the senior center provides the hot meal every Monday at noon. And that seems to be something that's ongoing and continuous, and people show up and they enjoy it. We'll have anywhere from 18 to sometimes 30 some odd people that show up for lunch. And it's free to seniors of 50 and above. We do accept donations, and the people are very generous, in helping. But the senior center, the only moneymaker for the senior center is the building itself is owned by the city. But the social group is responsible for the maintenance of the building. So we earn our money by bingo, which they have every week on Tuesdays from 6 to 8. That's basically the only money coming in. And then they will open a snack bar. We have a kitchen. We have a full kitchen, certified. And so we've just been able to keep it going. And we just served actually for Thanksgiving dinner, and this is an ongoing every year thing too, is a Thanksgiving dinner that we serve to the community, and it's all free. We do send out donation letters to some of the merchants in the area, and they've been very generous in helping us to provide. This year we served in-house 187 people, and then we had 28 home deliveries for people that couldn't make it there. Wow. And then we had something like 12 takeout orders that people came and picked up themselves. Wow. So that's something that we do every year. So to get around to the caregiving group is one of the nurses at the Newport Clinic stopped in one day. She lives nearby, and asked what we had for seniors. Well, at that time, the only thing that we had going was line dancing.
Sometimes exercising sometimes.
Yeah, that came after she. Yeah, so that was the only thing that we had was line dancing, but it just really touched my heart, and I thought, what could we offer? What does this community need? And someone suggested that maybe a caregiving support group. I knew nothing about that. I'm not a caregiver. I did work in the nursing. But I wasn't a professional at that either. So I just did some research and found out, what to expect. Made the suggestion.
Is this so for a caregiver? Does this mean like someone who maybe has a spouse or something like that who maybe has dementia or something like that, and so you're maybe their husband or wife, but you're also a caregiver? Is that what you're referring to?
Right.
Okay.
Even professional caregivers.
Okay.
So, and that's, Traci and I have known each other for since
you moved here.
Yeah,
practically.
And we become friends. And so I mentioned it to her, and I said, hey, I have this idea. What do you think? And she was on board immediately. So she's been with me day one. Like she said, it touched her heart as well, because she has been a caregiver. And it's like, okay, let's get this ball rolling.
Yeah.
And the doors went wide open for us to start the caregiving group.
So you just started, so you did a little research and you're like, this is how these kinds of groups would run and this is how I would lead it. And then you, throw up some posters or something? Or how did you actually like get it off the ground and get people showing up?
Well, the first thing I did is I did some research, and Newport had a caregiving support group run by the Alzheimer's Association. So we started there, and they were very gracious, and but there's a lot of red tape. I'll just say that, a lot of red tape to go through, which...
With the Alzheimer's Association.
Yeah. So we...
To be like affiliated with them or okay.
Yeah.
Rules,
So,
regulations, what to follow.
yeah.
Okay.
So we decided that that wasn't an avenue that we wanted to take. And then so I have a brother-in-law who is a caretaker, and his wife has Parkinson's. So I called him and asked him, and he had initiated some support groups. He gave me a wealth of information and just texted it all up to me. Of course, it pertained to another state, but we have the same resources here, which I just got on the phone and just started calling around and talking to people. And the people were wonderful and so helpful and so willing to support us in that. So
There's a lot of resource out there.
oh yeah. So that's basically how we got started. Is it was just an idea brought to us from someone else, and we just rolled with it. So it was new to both of us. But the more we talked to people, the more we learned. And so we decided, well, that's the avenue we're going to take.
I've never been a part of a support group before in any capacity. Could you tell me just like how does that work? Like if you're someone who's listening to this and you're like, I'm a caregiver, maybe I should join a support group. What can they expect when they walk in the door and are there?
Want me to answer? Yeah. So we've had a couple of meetings about how we were going to proceed, and we did get some training from Friends of Dementia, Alzheimer's Association, and a few other sources to get kind of caught up. And then of course, so we have the agenda where basically we are in the local newspaper there in Priest River. And we have flyers out, and of course, it's anybody who comes to the senior center will see the times that we're open for that. So basically how a meeting might go would be, we just welcome people in. We let them know that everything's confidential. You don't need to mention who you're caring for. And we come up with a mission statement, like who we're serving, basically any caregiver that could make it in the area. A caregiver could be, sometimes it really does fall on you, sometimes a little unexpectedly. It could be your spouse, your children. It could be your neighbor. It could be because of dementia, Alzheimer's, but sometimes maybe it's just somebody had a car wreck. Or some kind of illness or disease. So it's statistically about 1 in 4 people in the population of the U.S. is going to be a caregiver at some point in their life. And I'm not really talking about when you raise your children.
Right.
So there's definitely a need. And I think the hard part might be if you're involved in caregiving, it might be a little hard to get away and get that support. Or there's really a lot of support, but you may not know.
Yeah.
So we're just getting the word out to how we can support people. So when they come to us, we've had small groups so far, and we'll basically have about a 15-minute program. And that could vary from, mostly how to take care of yourself while you're taking care of someone else. Because sometimes you don't even realize what your need might be. I mean, you're overwhelmed. Just acknowledge your emotions. Like sometimes you're angry because you're having to do this, although you may love the people, or just overwhelmed. Maybe you're not getting your sleep, and not to feel guilty. Just realize what you're feeling and just let that go as much as you can and get your sleep. Make all the obvious things like drinking your water and eating properly. Like a lot of these things go by the wayside when you're taking care of somebody. So the first 15 minutes would be some type of program, maybe where you can get resources, have someone come in and help with the house. There's a senior companions. They don't do any medical, but they can come in and be a friend who you're person. So so many resources. Sometimes we'll have speakers come in. We had someone come in about living wills, that type of thing, DNRs. And there was a couple people we've had so far. So, after the first 15 minutes or so of the program, we allow our guests to speak, our participants, and if they may have questions, what they're going through. Of course, we're a good resource to where we can, if we can't handle something that they need, to where we can send them if they need supplies or someone to come into the home and help in some way. So a lot of resources we do have and where we can send them. And I think the most important part of this hour is for them to really talk about what's going on with them, just to be heard. So anything else should we add to this?
And when did you start?
So basically, we started, we probably really started about early June. We've been talking about it. We've been doing some background work, but I think
second Wednesday of
June.
Yeah, whatever date that is.
It was when you had your first meeting? Or okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And so this is like... This isn't its own org. Like, it's not its own 501c3. You fall under the Senior Center, or
Right.
Okay.
This is a program under the Senior Center.
Okay. And has it sparked people wanting to do different other support groups for other issues, or is this just where you're at?
I think we're pretty new yet, and being from the small town, and that's another reason that we didn't want to just keep it under the Alzheimer's and dementia, because it is a small town. How many people are you going to draw just from that? So it is growing, but it's slow growing. We haven't had any one excited enough to start another group, but we've had people just show up and have heard about it that do want to be facilitators. So we have 4 now.
Oh, wow.
At first, it was just the 2 of us, and I go, 2 Wednesdays a month, we're going to have to always, staff this, and there's 4 of us, so that really
frees you
was
up.
coming up with the subject of the program and share the wealth.
So just by word of mouth, we had a lady said that she was interested and she would like to come on board, and we have certain requirements. They do have to be fingerprinted, and everything has to be above board, and they were all willing to do that. I had another lady call and said she was moving to the area. She wanted to make friends, and what could she do to volunteer, and called her in, and she happened to be a professional caregiver.
Oh, wow.
And asked her if she would be interested in coming aboard. She was interested, so that's how we've ended up with 4 facilitators.
Nice. That's really nice. Is that really the only way that people can kind of volunteer, is to be a facilitator? What else do you need?
For the support group, there's really not a lot.
Just a desire and, willing to learn how to give a program, to share something of value to the group.
Yeah, we, like I said, if we're short on attendance, 1 or 2 people, and then the program that we have prepared for them is short, of course. And what we will do is we will just train each other, and we'll talk amongst each other. What can we do better? How can we find more resources? And what's a main resource? What's the central resource that everybody needs? So we're constantly doing research and helping each other.
Nice. This is a question that's more about the Senior Center broadly, but can anybody if they're not a senior, but you're like, I want to socialize with seniors, maybe you have children and they don't have grandparents, and so you want that cross-generational socialization, can you just show up during those open time, obviously not for the support group, but for, open like social times, can you show up and just hang out?
We have a schedule, certain days. We have an exercise program that's basically sit and be fit, and it's for seniors. If we have had teachers come by and ask if we had a program like that. At this point in time, we don't have. The building is not, there's not someone in the building constantly. I mean, as far as being used constantly. But the card players decided, that like I said, they're elderly. Some of them have passed, and now that's kind of dissolved at our senior center. But we recently started the exercise program back up again, and that's going well. And then we have two days of line dancers.
Even I go, and I love it. It's really good exercise, and it's good mind memory.
Yeah.
And that class can get pretty crowded at times. So it's really fun.
Does it usually just take someone has a passion about something, whether it's we like to play cards, we want to do line dancing, all it takes is somebody to say, hey, I'm really interested in dominoes or whatever. Okay, we'll get a dominoes.
We used to have domino game players, yeah.
We did, yeah. We, things come and go. People, some things last longer than others. I'll just put it that way. You can please some of the people some of the time.
But you can't please all the people all the time.
Yeah.
Also, the senior center's, I guess, in a sense, a center, like a hall or something. And my husband also teaches once, maybe twice a year, hunters education, hunters safety. I think we've actually had other people come in with boat safety.
Right.
So maybe not real scheduled things, but a few things that come up. There was the with the food. Anyway,
the co-op,
and another one, the Gleaners.
Right.
Used to meet there.
Is there a need for volunteers to do some of that, like just janitorial stuff, or help cook the lunch or things like that?
The lunch is prepared by the happy agers.
Okay, so
you pair up, and then you pick a week, So right now we have plenty of help. And the lunches are made there. We don't serve anything that's brought. You can't cook it at home and bring it in.
Sure.
Meals on Wheels used to. Are they
We've
coming
just
back?
Yes, we're trying now to initiate the Meals on Wheels back for Priest River. One of the Happy Agers is working on that with somebody from Sandpoint. I think she put out a list to put in an ad in our little paper, the Beacon, and she's gotten several volunteers that said that they would like to drive and deliver the meals. So we're working on that right now. And Traci and I were just talking over lunch about what other activities, what can we provide, for our seniors. We had a quilting bee there, but that kind of dissolved itself, So we've had just a plethora of things that have happened at the center, but at this current time, we don't have that. But we do have, like I said, the line dancers are on Tuesday and Thursdays, so the beginners are on Tuesdays, and the other more advanced classes on Thursdays.
Oh, wow.
And
beginners and advanced.
AA also meets
Yes,
there once a week.
we do. We have a couple of AA groups that meet there. We have a Bible study group that meets there. So the facility is being used, but it's not on an hourly, daily basis. Yeah.
Yeah, I only asked because, I've taken my kids to and at the time I had 3. I now have 4. I took them to the senior center in Sandpoint one time because they had basically kind of a little bluegrass kind of little concert there with the amateur community bluegrass group. And at the time, my grandfather, who has since passed, but he was living, with us. And so let's all go. And so I felt a little weird because I'm like, am I supposed to be at the senior center with my kids? I'm not a senior, but I was like, well, I'm with grandpa. So that's my in, right? But then we went there, and it was great to go there with my grandpa and enjoy the music and all that. But I could just see that the seniors loved my little kids running around in there, right? And my kids liked it too. Well, one, they just get attention, so they love that, and it's just good for them. I feel like to interact with people of different ages, right, than what they would normally. I mean, my grandpa was one of the only very elderly people that they, ever interact with, and my mom is obviously their grandma, but she's not that old yet. So it's it's good to have multiple, every 10 years or every 20 years have. I like that. And going to the senior center made me see that I want this. I want my children to know how to interact with any kind of person, any age. Sure. So I don't know. It might be a cool thing to do if it was a I don't know, some kind of social thing where maybe you could partner with homeschoolers or something like that who come in and just color with elderly folk or something, or learn how to play. They play Go Fish or something like that. I don't know.
Yes. We do have a member now that is partnering with some homeschool children to teach them line dancing.
Okay.
And square dancing and some kind of classes like that. So we're always on the lookout for what can we add that would be beneficial to our little community.
Yeah, we don't have anything quite on the level that you're talking about, but we do have groups come in with the Jeep Club is going to have their Christmas party there, and my husband and myself are going to be Mr. and Mrs. Claus.
Nice.
So there will be some children, but not on any big scope. And then you do the trunk or treat.
We do trunk or treat.
But it's not really a big exposure necessarily to our population, older population. So.
And we have, in the past, we have had, but not in the last couple of years, we've had a Christmas party for the community for children. We've done photographs with Santa, and gave them little gifts and things like that. But for some reason, there was an overturn in director. So it kind of fell by the wayside. But we're talking about reestablishing that now. So we're just looking for ideas and more things that we can do to support our community.
Yeah, and we had a gal come on a couple weeks ago who does a lot of helps seniors with their health care or figure out how to use the phone or whatever it is that they're having issues with, and the senior population is who she really helps a lot. And she just pointed out that many of them are just very alone if they maybe their spouse has passed away, or they're just a single person, or their children don't live nearby or whatever. And so not only do I feel that a lot of kids don't get that senior interaction, a lot of seniors don't get the interaction with the children either if their family's not nearby. And this has been a couple years now, so I don't even know if this program still exists, but there was a program in Seattle where a school partnered with a senior center or a home of some kind. I'm not sure exactly. I don't remember the exact details, where it was a weekly thing where the kindergartners were paired up with a senior. And so they became buddies, right? And they would see each other week after week. And we know from research that the senior folks live longer when they have those interactions with children. But the kids loved it too. There were stories in it about kids crying if they didn't get to go hang out with Nancy or whatever that week. And there's a waiting list a mile long of families that want to sign their children up for this program to hang out with seniors. So anyways, that was really remarkable.
I think when my daughter, who's now in her 40s, which she was still an infant, and I might have been in some kind of program like that, I would go to a nursing home with her. And, seniors that are living there might be almost incoherent, it seems, and if they see a dog, a cat, or a child, I mean, they're just coming alive, and they were so happy to see that baby. It is like a miracle.
It's something, I don't know what it is, but it sparks something in the heart, mind, and soul.
Suddenly they just come to life.
One thing that I've noticed about our seniors that come for Monday lunches, we serve at 12 o'clock. They're there by 11:30. And I like to grab the cup of coffee and sit down and talk. But the minute lunch is over, they just scatter. They're ready to leave. So.
Social time's over. Bye.
And we have games, we have puzzles, we have things that are available to them that they could stay and do, but most of them are ready to go home. So we have in the past too partnered with the schools, the elementary schools, and some of our volunteers have gone to read stories, but they've gone to the school and to read during school hours. So we've had that experience, which was really nice, and we've had a Veterans Day where we put on a nice meal at the event center for veterans. We had entertainers come, local musicians come and entertain, and we did that for a couple of years, and then it's just I don't know if it's because we're a small town but even that the third year just kind of fell off to where it wasn't, financially efficient to put that on.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm glad to have the senior center because while we're not open 24/7, but we do have those activities. And if that wasn't there, I mean, it is a small town, and it really is a place to go to and have folks do something. And I think at one point we did have some activities of sorts that the younger people would come to and kind of tune in with the community at large, you might say. Like helping, whether it's helping seniors with their yard or whatever.
Well, that's just my bias, obviously, because that's the phase of life that I'm in with the small children. There's so many things that
it's a
can do.
great idea, and it's something for us to think about and put out there. Most of it's word of mouth and speaking to the seniors that we know and the ones that come in if they would like to participate in something like that. It's just it's a learning process. For us.
Well, God bless you guys for taking it on and for starting new things and for continuing to be involved. There's many ways that you can spend your retirement years. You don't have to volunteer. You don't have to put on events and do all that kind of stuff.
Sometimes you just like to go belly dancing. Yeah. And also I found my quilting group. So there's so much to be that's fun that you could be involved in.
Absolutely. Is there anything that we didn't touch on that you wanted to make sure people know about the support group or the senior center itself?
I would just like to encourage people to take the time because we're there. We're both dedicated, and our whole intent is to be there for them, whether one shows up or it doesn't show up. Like as Traci said, it just really touched our hearts, and we enjoy what we're doing, and if we can be of help, that's what we're there for.
Yeah, because I think folks who are caregivers don't always realize what they're in for. You might have a mild stage of dementia, perhaps, or maybe it's just going to be a limited time because they're getting over an operation. And however, it's going to be long-term care. I mean, I worked in the field for 32 years, so if they need to know how to actually physically take care of someone, like let's say they're resisting their shower, they're resisting eating, ways that you can really work with that. Resisting, you need to go to an appointment and get in the car, how to work with all these types of things. And there are things that you don't necessarily think about. How are you going to handle these situations? The people who run, they leave the house and they don't know where they're going and they get lost. So how to deal with it. So it'd just be wonderful if people could realize that we're there and take advantage of it if they can get out for that hour. Yeah.
One of the things that we've learned is they have no one to leave them with, to take that hour to come for a support group. And just because of insurance purposes, we're not able to have a daycare because of the liability. So I know it. I believe that in time it'll grow, and we'll be there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting us.
Absolutely.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. For more information, you can go to CRECidaho.com. Please like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you again soon.